Okay, so here we are. We promised our listeners that we'd post a little video. So why don't you tell people what exactly you're going to show here, Dan?
Yeah, so in the July podcast, I was talking about a couple of Proto 2000 HO scale GP60s that I have, and these are them. The cotton belt unit, one with the SSW on the front, has a Loxon 3.5 decoder in it, and it has LED lights, both in the ditch lights and the headlight. So those are set up to flash when I blow the horn. There's actually a TCS fleet lighter decoder controlling the ditch lights in the cotton belt engine. And the Southern Pacific engine has a Loxon select decoder.
So do these both have those special small LEDs that you were talking about?
Yeah, the ditch lights are done with these surface mount LEDs, and they're very, very tiny. And they fit basically inside the ditch light housing completely, so you don't need to have any exposed wires, which is, aside from the fact that they're really bright, is one of the big advantages to using them, because they fit in such a small space. So if you look at the ditch lights from the side, you don't see any wires sticking out the back, which I really like, because I always hated that with some of my other installs, that you see the the wires. And I also used one of those little sub-miniature LEDs for the beacon on the SP unit. The cotton belt one doesn't have a beacon, but anyway, it makes a nice bright beacon, and I don't know if you can see it on the video, but it's actually casts light on stuff around it, which is kind of cool. So if you look at the backs of the ditch lights, you can see that there isn't anything sticking out, which is pretty neat. And I used my own little fiber optic lens on the front of the ditch lights just to finish them off. It's one of those, if you've seen the DCC install video, I show how to do that with to make a little lens with heat.
Oh, is that where you run the lighter on the strand?
Yeah. The only difference with these is that I just cut them really, really short, because they don't obviously have to go very far. But otherwise it's pretty much the same. And it works great. The wires actually go down through the bottom of the ditch light housing and under the anti-climber here. So they're, unless you basically pick up the locomotive and turn it over, you can't see the wires at all, which is really neat. Makes it look a lot more realistic, I think.
Oh, cool.
The Loxon Select is actually running all the lights in this locomotive, the beacon, the ditch lights, headlight, everything. So there's just one decoder in this one.
Okay, so now what are we looking at on this one?
Okay, this is another engine that I've talked about on the podcast. This is an Athearn SW1500 painted for the Western Pacific. And what I want to show with this one is how I did the class lights and the headlights. These are also done with LEDs and fiber optics, but I did the class lights are running off LED on the inside that I put a bigger resistance on, so they're not very bright, because they shouldn't be too bright. But I think it looks real neat to have them lit up. It's not something you see a lot. So, and then of course there's the headlight.
Oh, and that's really bright.
Yeah, the headlight's very bright. You can tell it's a lot brighter than the class lights.
Are these also the mini LED, or what is that?
No, these are the regular 3mm LEDs. There wasn't a need to use those really tiny ones, because there wasn't enough room inside the shell. But it's the same principle. The fiber optics run to the LED, and I basically have one LED driving both class lights. It's just the fiber optics run together inside. So, and by the way, I located the speaker on this one right here under the radiator. It's actually not shooting through the radiator; it's pointed down. But
can't tell.
That was the only place inside that had enough room that I could fit a speaker without sacrificing the cab detail.
Yeah.
So.
And it's loud enough for sure.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really loud. Hold on, let me get my earplugs. All right, really good. Okay, cool. Well, hopefully if this works well enough, we can go ahead and make some other video podcasts in the future so people can see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Cool.